Look at some basic property of inequality. If A is greater than B and B is greater than C, then A is greater than C. And in fact, this is quite obvious. Let's say if 4 is greater than 3 and 3 is greater than 1, then we can conclude that 4 is greater than 1. This is always true. And the second property will be if A is greater than B, then if we add two numbers, add to the same numbers on both sides of the inequalities, then this inequality will still be correct. A plus C is greater than B plus C. Or if we minus the same number from both sides, then A minus C will always be greater than B minus C. And then we can look at a very simple example. If, again, 4 is greater than 3, if we add 1 to both sides of the inequality, then this will become 5 is greater than 4, and this inequality is still correct. And what if we subtract the same number? Let's say if we subtract 2 from both sides, then we have 2 is greater than 1, and this is still okay. And the third rule will be on multiplication. If A is greater than B and C is a positive number, then A times C will also be greater than B times C. But things will be quite different if C is a negative number. C is less than 0. Then AC will be less than BC, B times C. And notice that in this case, the direction of the inequality sign has changed, has turned in the opposite way. We can illustrate this by looking at some simple example. If 4 is greater than 3, then if we multiply both sides by 2, then we have 8 on the left hand side and 6 on the right hand side. And we can see that 8 is still greater than 6. This is always true, since the factor is a positive number. But what if we have a negative number? If we multiply both sides by negative 2, then the inequality becomes minus 8 on the left hand side, and on the right hand side we have minus 6. So if we insist on the direction of the inequality, we have minus 8 greater than minus 6, and this is quite ridiculous, because in fact the left hand side is smaller, the right hand side is bigger. So we have to change this to less than, so that to make the inequality, to make it right again, minus 8 should be less than minus 6. So we have to be very careful about multiply both sides by a negative number. And in fact, this also works for division. If we divide both sides by a negative number, we should always change the direction of the inequality sign. And we can simply take another example. If we divide both sides by minus 1, then the left hand side becomes minus 4 and the right hand side becomes minus 3. And therefore, if we insist on the direction of the inequality sign, then this inequality is no longer true. Therefore, again, we have to cross this out. And since we divide both sides by minus 1, we have to change the direction of the inequality sign here. So we have a very important conclusion here. If we multiply both sides by a negative value, then we have to always change the direction of, this should be of the inequality sign. And the last rule will be if A and B are both positive numbers and A is greater than B, then 1 over A will be less than 1 over B. And this is called the reciprocal 斗数. We can easily illustrate this by using a very simple example. 3 is greater than 2 and both are positive. If we apply the reciprocal on both sides, then left hand side becomes 1 over 3 and the right hand side becomes 1 over 2. And of course, it will be ridiculous for 1 over 3 to be greater than 1 over 2. So we have to again change the direction of the inequality sign.